The slap of the cold air hit me first, then the sound of the shelter door locking behind me. 1 second I was in my son's warm SUV. The next second I was standing on a cracked sidewalk, holding one small suitcase while my own family drove away. "Mom, it's just for a little while," my son David had said. He couldn't even look me in the eye. "They'll take good care of you here." His wife Lena leaned over from the passenger seat. "We can't do holidays and diapers and you all at once," she said. "This place is professional." Professional. That word felt colder than the December wind. The sign over the door said St. Mary's Senior Shelter, not home. A red paper bell hung crooked in the window. Somebody had tried to make it festive. It just made it worse. I knocked on the glass. A woman in a red sweater opened up. She had dark circles under her eyes and a Santa pin on her chest. "You must be Helen," she said. "I'm Carla. Come on in, hun. It's freezing out there." Behind me, I heard the SUV engine rev. I turned just in time to see my son's brake lights disappear at the corner. No wave. No last look, just gone. Carla put a hand on my arm. "You want to sit first or do the paperwork first?" "If I sit first, I might not get back up," I said. "Let's do the papers." We sat at a metal desk near a blinking plastic tree. Somewhere down the hall, someone was coughing and a TV was buzzing low. It smelled like bleach and canned soup. "Emergency contact?" Carla asked. I stared at the line on the form. "Just write none for now," I said. Carla glanced up at me. "All right, Helen, we'll be your people tonight." It hadn't always been like this. There was a time when Christmas at my house meant cinnamon rolls at 5 a.m., wrapping paper flying, and my little boy, David, jumping on my bed, whispering, "Mom, did Santa come?" I worked double shifts at the diner to keep that magic alive. I burned my fingers on grease and came home smelling like fries and coffee. But my boy had a tree, presents, and a mama who never once dumped him anywhere. When his father walked out, I didn't send David to any professional place so I could rest. I took another job cleaning offices at night. I slept in broken pieces, but he never knew. He just knew his lunchbox was full and his homework was checked. Now here I was, 68 years old, dropped off like a bag of old clothes. Carla finished the forms and gave me a thin blanket and a plastic bag with a toothbrush and soap. "We're doing a little Christmas dinner tomorrow," she said. "Turkey, boxed mash, the works, not fancy, but it's something." I nodded. "Do you have a TV?" I asked. "Yeah," she said. "Old thing in the common room. Why?" I touched the inside pocket of my coat where a wrinkled lottery ticket was folded, soft from being checked and rechecked. "The holiday drawing is tomorrow," I said. "Thought I might as well see myself lose on a big screen." Carla gave a small laugh. "Hey, you never know." I did know, though. People like me didn't win things. People like me just lost slowly, one piece at a time. First a husband, then health, then a home. But as I lay on that narrow shelter bed that night, listening to strangers snore and heat pipes clank, the ticket felt like a tiny, sharp thing against my ribs. Not hope, not yet, just a question mark. By the time I closed my eyes, one thought kept circling in the dark. If that ticket hit, my family's little professional solution would come back to bite them so hard they wouldn't know what year it was. Christmas morning didn't smell like cinnamon rolls. It smelled like instant coffee and whatever they used to mop the floors. I woke up to the sound of a cart squeaking down the hall and somebody's radio playing a sad old carol. "Morning, Helen," Carla called from the doorway. "You up for some turkey later?" "Only if it's not still frozen," I said, pushing myself up on my elbows. My back popped like bubble wrap. She laughed. "We're doing our best, hun. Come on, we're putting the lottery drawing on the TV later. Big holiday thing." My hand went straight to my coat pocket hanging on the chair. The ticket was still there, folded neat, paper edges soft from my fingers. I pulled it out and stared at the numbers again. I knew them by heart. I had bought it with tip money at the gas station near my old house. The guy at the counter had said, "Good luck, ma'am," like he said it to everybody. Yeah, I whispered now. "Good luck." In the common room, a few of the other residents were already sitting in front of the TV. Someone had put tinsel around the screen. It looked tired, like it had been used every year since 1995. The TV picture was a little blurry, but you could still see the bright game show set. "Come sit next to me," said Mr. Lewis, an old man with a cane and a voice like gravel. "If you win, I want front row seats." "If I win, I'll buy you a better chair," I said. Carla passed out cheap paper cups of coffee and a plate of dry cookies. On the TV, the host was grinning so wide his face looked fake. "Welcome to our Christmas jackpot drawing," he shouted. "Tonight, one lucky winner will take home $5 million. $5 million, that number felt unreal, like a joke. I had lived my whole life counting quarters in my hand at the supermarket. I took a sip of coffee, then set it down before my hands shook it right out of the cup. "All right, folks," Carla said. "Get your tickets ready?" I pulled mine out, smoothing it on my knee. The first line of numbers stared back at me. My heart was beating way too fast for someone just sitting in a chair. "First number," the host said, holding up a ball. "8, okay," I whispered. "I've got an 8, lots of people have an 8, calm down." "Second number, 14. 14, I whispered again, my chest felt tight. Okay, still normal. Could be nothing. Third number, 23, I swallowed. 8, 14, 23, I said under my breath. I got all three. Mr. Lewis leaned closer. "You good, Helen?" "Maybe too good," I said, my voice sounded small. Fourth number, 32. The room felt like it narrowed. The TV, the ticket, my own breath, they were all that existed. "I've got it," I said. "That's 4. Carla stopped pouring coffee and stared at me. "For real?" she asked. I nodded, eyes glued to the screen. Fifth number, 41. I pressed my lips together. My fingers were digging into the ticket so hard I almost tore it. "That's 5, I whispered. 5 out of 6. "All right, folks," the host said, dragging the moment out like a bad joke. "Here comes the final number." The whole shelter went quiet. Even the TV seemed to buzz louder. "The last number is 50. My vision blurred for a second. I blinked hard and looked down at my ticket again. 8, 14, 23, 32, 41, 50. I think I just won," I said. Nobody moved. Then Carla grabbed the ticket from my fingers, but gentle, like it was made of glass. She walked right up to the TV, holding it under the numbers on the screen. "Oh my God," she said. "Helen, it's exact. This is it. You hit it. You really hit it." Mr. Lewis let out a whistle. "Well, I'll be damned," he said. "The lady from the shelter just won 5 million. My ears were ringing. I felt like I was floating above my own body, watching an old woman sit in a cheap chair in a cheap room holding a piece of paper that suddenly meant everything. "Come with me," Carla said quickly. Her voice changed, quieter, sharper. "We're going to my office. Now don't say anything out here." She hustled me down the hall, shut her office door, and turned the lock. Then she turned back to me and put both hands on my shoulders. "Listen to me, Helen," she said. "You can't tell just anybody about this. Not yet. We're gonna call the lottery office, okay? Make sure it's real, get you an appointment, maybe find you a lawyer, but you need to stay calm." You're not playing with me?" I asked. "This isn't some prank." Her eyes softened. "No, honey, the world's done enough to you. I'm not that kind of person." My mind flashed to my son's SUV driving away, to Lena's cold eyes in the front seat, to that word professional. They thought they had thrown away a burden. They had no idea they had just dumped a future millionaire. "Can they see the winner on TV?" I asked slowly. "Yeah," Carla said. "They usually do some kind of local news thing." "Why?" I felt a slow, dark smile tug at the corner of my mouth. "Because, Carla," I said, "my family loves watching TV. And this time I was going to give them a show they'd never forget." The lottery office didn't waste time. Carla helped me call, and soon we had everything lined up. They confirmed the ticket numbers, told me not to lose it, and gave me a date and time to come in. My hands shook the whole call. After we hung up, Carla sat back in her chair. "They also said the local news wants to do a segment," she said. "Human interest story, woman in a shelter wins big." I snorted. "Now I'm human interest, huh?" She smiled. "Maybe for them, for you, it's payback season." Later that afternoon, a small TV news crew came to the shelter. A young reporter with big hair and 2 white teeth shook my hand. "Miss Helen, is that okay?" she asked. "We'd love to share your story. It might help the shelter too." I looked at Carla. She gave me a tiny nod. "It's your call, Helen." "Fine," I said, "but I'm not going to pretend my life was happy before this. You want real?" "I'll give you real." They sat me in the common room with the plastic tree behind me. The camera light was bright in my face. The reporter asked about my life, my job at the diner, how I ended up here. "My family dropped me off on Christmas Eve," I said, voice steady. "They said this place was professional. Then they drove away." The reporter's eyes widened. "And now you're the winner of $5 million, she said softly. How does that feel? I looked straight into the camera. It feels like God handed me a hammer, I said, and I'm deciding what to hit first. Carla coughed in the background, trying not to laugh. The story aired that same night on the local channel. The shelter TV was turned up loud. Everyone gathered around. There I was on the screen in my thrift store sweater talking about being dumped and then winning big. Somewhere across town, I knew David and Lena had that same channel. They loved watching the local news, especially around holidays. They liked to complain about traffic and crime and pretend they were better than everyone on the screen. This time, it was my face they were looking at. My phone had been quiet for days. That night, it lit up so fast it almost slid off Carla's desk. I hadn't even known David still had my number saved. Unknown caller, the first one said. I ignored it. Then it rang again, same label. You should probably pick up, Carla said. At least hear what they say. I let it ring one more time, then hit answer and put it on speaker. Hello, I said. Mom. David's voice came through, sweet and soft, like when he was 10 and wanted extra dessert. Oh my God, Mom, we just saw you on TV. Are you okay? Why didn't you call us? I stared at the phone. The last time he spoke to me, he couldn't even look me in the eye while he dropped me at a shelter. Now he sounded like a long-lost boy who had misplaced his teddy bear. I've been busy, I said. We had no idea things were that bad, he rushed on. Lena's been crying. We didn't mean for you to feel abandoned. We thought the shelter would help. In the background, I heard Lena's voice, sharp and thin. Put it on speaker, she hissed. Tell her we're coming to get her. Suddenly David said louder, Mom, listen, we're coming over there right now. We want to bring you home. This whole thing was a mistake. Carla raised an eyebrow at me. I kept my face blank. That's sweet, I said slowly. Funny how the mistake shows up right after the jackpot. There was a pause, then Lena's voice cut in, too bright to be real. Hi, Mom, it's Lena. We are so happy for you. $5 million, wow, that's such a blessing. We just want to make sure you're safe. You know, there are a lot of scammers and shady people out there. You shouldn't be alone with all that responsibility. I felt Carla's eyes on me. I could hear the fake smile in Lena's voice from miles away. Don't worry, I said. I'm not alone. We should help you with the paperwork, Lena went on. The bank stuff, the legal stuff, you know you're not great with forms. We'll handle it, you just rest. There it was. Not a word about dumping me, not one real sorry, just fast talk about money and control wrapped in fake concern. I'll think about it, I said. You don't need to rush. Oh no, we do, Lena said quickly. I mean, we just don't want anything bad to happen. We're family. Family sticks together, right? My hand curled into a fist under the desk. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small when she talked to me. I felt tall. I felt dangerous. Family does stick together, I said softly. That's exactly why I want to see you. Both of you? Then we'll be there first thing in the morning, she said. Good, I replied, and a slow chill settled in my chest. Because tomorrow I start deciding who walks away from this rich and who walks away with nothing. They showed up the next morning dressed like they were going to church, not a shelter. David wore a clean shirt. Lena had a camel coat and a gift bag. Carla was at the front desk. I watched from the hallway. When Lena spotted me, her face turned soft and sad. Helen, she said, hurrying over with open arms. Mom. You look so thin. We are so sorry. We never meant for you to feel left here. David stepped up. Mom, he said, voice shaky. We messed up. We thought this place would be better for you. You remember, right? You said you wanted professional help. You said you were tired. That was the first lie of the morning. I remembered begging him to drive me back home. I don't remember saying that, I replied. Maybe my old brain missed it. Lena jumped in fast. You did, she said. We just didn't explain it right. It broke our hearts seeing you on TV in this situation. Carla cleared her throat. Helen is safe here, she told them. We're helping her with the lottery people and making sure she understands her options. Lena gave her a tight smile. We appreciate that, she said, but we're her family. We know what's best. Then she pulled a folder out of the gift bag. What's that? I asked. Just some simple forms, Lena said. We talked to a friend. With that kind of money, you're in a vulnerable spot, Mom. We want to protect you. She opened the folder on a table. David pulled his chair close. Carla stayed standing. I looked down. Big words jumped out at me. Power of attorney. Financial control. Joint account. Lena tapped near the bottom. This just lets us help handle your money, she said. Pay bills, sign things if you get confused. You've said your hands shake, your eyes are bad. This makes everything easier. My hands had counted diner tips at 2 in the morning for years. I don't know, I murmured. That sounds serious. David leaned in. Mom, come on, he said. You know you don't like numbers. Remember when you messed up that check last year? The bank called me, you cried for hours. You said you wished someone else could take care of that stuff. I remembered that day. I fixed the check myself. He never came. Now he was feeding that story back to me like I was losing my mind. That's not exactly how it went, I said. Lena gave a light laugh. Memory is tricky, Mom, she said. You've been under stress. Let us take some weight. We'll move you back home, fix up a nice room, get you a doctor. You'll never have to come back to this place again. There it was, under the sugar, the threat, sign or stay in this place. Carla stepped closer. Did your friend happen to be a licensed attorney? She asked. Lena's smile thinned. He knows people, she said. Anyway, this is temporary just till things calm down. I pretended to squint at the paper. Temporary? I asked. How long is temporary when $5 million is involved? Nobody answered. David's phone lit up on the table. A new message flashed before the screen dimmed. I caught just enough. Get her to sign before she talks to anyone else. The contact name said Babe Red. Can I take these to my room and think? I asked. Lena opened her mouth, then changed tone. Of course, she said. Take your time, we'll drink coffee with Carla. Carla met my eyes. She didn't say anything, but I knew she'd seen that text too. I picked up the folder and walked down the hall. With every step, the fog in my head burned off. They hadn't come to help. They had come to finish the job. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something sharp and alive. I was done being their victim. I was ready to become their problem. Carla didn't say anything until we reached her office and shut the door. Then she blew out a long breath and dropped into her chair. They walked in here like they own the place, she said. You okay? I'm better now, I said, because I saw exactly what they're after. I set the folder on her desk and opened it. If I signed, they'd control my money. I'd be back to asking permission to buy bread. They're trying to lock you out of your own win, Carla said quietly. This isn't protection, it's a grab. Oh, I see it, I answered. Now I just have to decide how mean I want to be. Carla's eyes narrowed. What are you thinking, Helen? I'm thinking they dumped me here like trash on Christmas, I said. Maybe the whole town should see what kind of people they really are. She snapped her fingers. The lottery office, she said. That woman Lisa, she told you to call? Then let's call, I said. Speaker, please. Carla dialed. When Lisa picked up, her voice was crisp but kind. Miss Helen, good to hear from you. Everything all right? Not really, I replied. I told her about the TV piece, the sweet phone call, the visit, and the folder with power of attorney on top. I also told her about the text I saw flash on David's phone, get her to sign before she talks to anyone else. Lisa was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, she said. Sadly, we see this a lot. Big wins bring out greedy behavior. So what can we do besides let them eat me alive? I asked. First, do not sign anything, she said. Second, I can connect you with a lawyer we trust. He works only for you. His job is to protect you and your money. Does he cost a lot? I asked. He'll take a small fee, she said. Nothing close to what you could lose. Carla nodded hard. Say yes, she mouthed. Fine, I said. Give him my number. And Lisa, yes, ma'am. If this turns ugly, I said, I don't mind cameras coming back. People like the poor granny in the shelter. They might really like the part where her own family tries to steal from her. There was a small pause, then a chuckle. Understood, Lisa said. Expect his call today. The lawyer called that afternoon. Miss Helen, this is Mr. Patel, he said. His voice was calm and steady. First, congratulations. Second, I'm sorry you're in what we call the family storm. Let's get you dry. He asked simple questions. What did they say? What did they bring? Had I signed anything? I told him everything. That text you saw is important, he said. It shows what they're trying to do. Here's what I want from you. Don't argue with them. Don't yell. Just smile, stall, and let them talk. The more they talk, the more they reveal. Why does that matter? I asked. Because if they push too far, this becomes legal, he said. Judges care about proof, texts, witnesses, pressure. You already have a solid witness in Carla. That's strong. Carla lifted her hand in a little wave. What do we do first? I asked. First, we quietly set up bank accounts only in your name, he said. We add protections so nobody can move money without you. Then, if they bring more papers, you tell them you'll only sign in front of a neutral lawyer in a proper office. Like you, I said. Exactly, he replied. If they refuse, they show their true colors. If they agree, they sit in a room where every word is clear and legal. Either way, they don't get what they think they're getting. Something in my chest relaxed and hardened at the same time. Before, my anger just hurt. Now it had teeth. Mr. Patel, I said, how do you feel about a little public shame if they keep pushing? I work with the media a lot, he said. If they cross a line, we don't have to hide it. But for now, breathe, stay polite, and let them dig their own hole. When I ended the call, the office felt different, bigger, lighter. So, Carla asked, what's the plan, Helen? I picked up the folder, closed it, and slid it into my bag. Simple, I said. Tomorrow I start smiling while they dig. And when they're standing at the bottom of that hole, I'll make sure every camera in this town is pointed right at them. The next day, David and Lena came back like they were checking on a sick pet. They brought flowers this time, cheap ones, but still. Carla met them at the front desk again. I waited in the common room, sitting on the same chair where I'd watched my life flip. Mom, David said when he saw me, how are you feeling? Did you sleep okay? This place must be rough. It's not bad, I said. They feed us, they listen when we talk. That's more than I can say for some people. Lena laughed too fast. You're so funny, she said. We brought you something? She set a new folder down on the table. This one was thicker. My stomach turned, but my face stayed calm. What's that? I asked, even though I already knew. Updated papers, she said. We talked to another friend. He helped us tweak things, make it safer for you. We really don't want you stressed, Mom. Carla stood nearby, pretending to tidy magazines. I knew she could hear every word. Maybe we should sit, I said. My legs don't like standing when there's paperwork around. They smiled like I had just told a cute joke. We sat. David opened the folder and slid a pen toward me. Look at this one, he said, tapping a page. This sets up a joint account with me as main signer, you as co-owner. That way I can help pay bills, keep track. You don't have to worry about learning online banking and all that tech stuff. Translation. I'd have to ask my own son for my own money. I picked up the pen. My hand shook on purpose. I don't want to mess this up, I said softly. My head's been fuzzy. Sometimes I don't remember things right. Lena leaned in. Exactly, she said. That's why you need us. Could you explain it again? I asked. Maybe slower this time. They did, and while they talked, their real thoughts started slipping out. You don't want these people here taking advantage of you, Lena said, flicking her eyes around the shelter like it was a trash can. Or some lawyer who just wants a cut, David added. We're family, we're not after your money. We just want to keep it safe for, the future, for the kids. For your kids, I said quietly. He didn't even hear me. While they kept talking, I slid my hand into my pocket and tapped the side button on the small old phone Carla had found in the donation box and given me just in case. Mr. Patel had shown me how to use the voice record app. Only if it's legal where you are, he'd warned. Ask Carla. She had checked and nodded, so we prepared. Now the little red dot on the screen glowed, their voices flowed right into it. And if anything happened to you, Lena was saying, we wouldn't want the state to grab everything. This way we can manage things, move money, invest, maybe even put some in our names just on paper to protect it. On paper, I repeated. But really yours? She smiled, missing the edge in my voice. See, you get it. I didn't sign. Instead, I set the pen down and pressed 2 fingers to my temple. I'm sorry, I said. My head is spinning. I think there's too much here for me to understand alone. The lottery office said I should meet with one of their lawyers before I sign anything. They sounded real serious. Both of them froze. Lawyer, David repeated. Since when? Since I called to say hi, I said easily. They were so worried someone might try to trick me. Can you imagine? Lena's jaw tightened. Mom, that's overkill, she said. Lawyers complicate things. They'll just scare you and take your money. We can handle this. You don't need strangers involved. That's what the lady said, I replied. But she also said if I wanted, we could do a little follow-up story about how people treat winners after they get rich. Can you imagine that on TV? Wouldn't that be interesting? For the first time, David finally looked nervous. I don't think you should share family stuff on TV, he said. People might misunderstand, they might think we're bad people. Are you? I asked. He swallowed. No, he said, of course not. Then you shouldn't worry, I answered. Anyway, the lawyer wants to meet everyone together. You too, me, maybe Carla as a witness. He said we can record the meeting so nobody forgets what was said. Isn't that smart? Lena's smile slid right off her face, then crawled back on. Sure, she said. If that makes you comfortable. It really does, I said. He also mentioned inviting the reporter back for a follow-up piece on financial safety. He thinks it could help other people in my position. Now both of them went quiet. That's a lot of attention, Lena said finally. I nodded. Yes, I agreed. That's kind of the point. Inside, I felt cold and clear. I didn't have to scream at them. I didn't have to throw anything. I just had to let them keep talking while the whole town slowly turned its head and watched. Because when the cameras came back, I wanted everyone to see exactly who had dumped me in a shelter on Christmas and how desperate they were to climb back into my life once they smelled money. Mr. Patel set the time for the meeting 2 days later. His office was in a small brick building near downtown. Nothing fancy but clean, real office, real desk, real degrees on the wall, not someone's friend. Carla came with me. I'm your ride and your witness, she said. They're not cornering you alone again. I wore my best old church dress and the coat I'd had for years. I didn't want to look rich or poor, I wanted to look like myself. The woman they thought they could dump and forget. Before David and Lena arrived, we sat with Mr. Patel in his office. Okay, he said, folding his hands. Remember our plan, you don't sign anything, you don't agree to anything big in this room. You just listen, ask simple questions, and let them talk. I nodded. And if they lie? I asked. He smiled a little. Then we let them show who they are, he said. I have my assistant in the next room taking notes. We're also keeping a record of this meeting for our file. I slid my old phone across the desk. And this has their cute little speeches from yesterday, I said. About moving money into their names just on paper. He glanced at the screen, listened to a few seconds, and his face went hard. This is very helpful, he said. This shows pressure and intent. If they keep pushing, this can protect you and it can hurt them legally and socially. Good, I said. I'm not scared of their feelings anymore. The front bell rang. A moment later, his assistant knocked and opened the door. Your son and daughter-in-law are here, she said. I felt my heartbeat pick up, but my hands stayed still. Bring them in, Mr. Patel said. David and Lena walked in with their fake soft faces on. Lena had another folder. David tried to smile at Mr. Patel like they were all old buddies. You must be the lawyer, David said, reaching out his hand. We're just here to make sure Mom is safe. Of course, Mr. Patel said, shaking his hand politely. Please sit. They sat across from us. Carla sat beside me, straight-backed and quiet. So, Mr. Patel began, I understand you brought some documents you'd like Helen to sign. Lena swooped right in. Yes, she said, just basic things. Joint accounts, power of attorney. She's been forgetful. We're worried. We just want to help. We don't want her taken advantage of. By who? Mr. Patel asked calmly. By strangers, Lena said. By, shelters, lawyers, whoever. People see a big win and they go crazy. He tilted his head. And you two are not people? He asked. David gave a short laugh. We're family, he said. Different thing. We love her. If you love her, Carla said quietly, why did you drop her at a shelter on Christmas Eve? The room went still. David shot her a sharp look. That's not how it happened, he said quickly. We were trying to get her help. She was confused. She agreed. I remember crying in your car, I said, my voice steady. I remember begging to go home. I remember you driving away. See, Lena cut in. She mixes things up. That's what we're afraid of. She's not remembering right. We don't want her making big choices alone when she can't even what? I asked. Count, read, breathe. What exactly do you think I am? Lena shut her mouth, then opened it again. We saw the news, she said. You told them we dumped you. That word hurt us. It was unfair. We were trying our best. Mr. Patel leaned forward. Let me be clear, he said. Right now, Helen has full control of her winnings. She has a bank account in her own name. The lottery has verified her identity. She has legal support. She is not required to put anyone else on her money, not children, not spouses, not friends, nobody. Lena's fingers tightened on her folder. But she's not good with this stuff, David protested. She gets overwhelmed. She told me that herself. I get overwhelmed, I said. Yes, but I also learn, and I know this, you didn't call when I first came here, you called when you saw the 5 million. That's not fair, he snapped. Mr. Patel lifted a hand. Here's what I want to know, he said. Why the rush? Why not let Helen settle, get used to her situation, then maybe discuss smaller things? Why power of attorney and joint accounts in the first week? Because the world is dangerous, Lena said. People will use her, we're trying to protect our family's future, our kids. That's not a crime? It is, however, very interesting, Mr. Patel said, especially when combined with this. He tapped the phone on his desk. What's that? David asked. A little record of some of your earlier conversations, Mr. Patel replied. Discussing moving money into your names just on paper, pressuring her to sign before she talks to anyone else. David's face drained. Lena's lips parted. You recorded us, she hissed at me. I shrugged. I'm old, remember, I said. I forget things, recording helps me keep my stories straight. That's illegal, she shouted. Carla shook her head. It's not, she said. We checked. Mr. Patel nodded. We're fine, he said. But this does tell me something important. It tells me I should strongly advise my client not to sign any document that gives you control over her money. It also tells me we should keep careful records going forward. And if more pressure continues, we may need to report it as possible elder financial abuse. Abuse? David repeated. We're not abusers, we're her family. Family doesn't look like dropping someone at a shelter and rushing back when the check clears, Carla said. Lena's eyes flashed. You can't talk to us like that, she snapped. We're not villains, we just want what's fair. I smiled, but it wasn't kind. Fair, I said softly. Funny word. You think fair means you grab what you can, then rewrite the story so you look like heroes. I think fair means everyone sees what you really did. Mr. Patel cleared his throat. One more thing, he said. The lottery has invited Helen to a formal event next week. Big check, cameras, local leaders, the reporter. She has the right to bring guests and to speak. She may also choose to talk about how her life changed before and after the win. David blinked. You mean like another TV thing? Yes, Mr. Patel said, a bigger one. I looked right at my son. I want you both there, I said, front row. Why? Lena asked, suspicious. So when I tell the story of my family storm, I said, voice calm and cold, you won't miss a single word. The event was at a downtown hotel ballroom. Shiny floor, bright lights, fake rich carpet. Lisa from the lottery met us at the door. There she is, she said, hugging me, our Christmas jackpot star. I'm just Helen, I said, let's keep it that way. Carla walked on my left, Mr. Patel walked on my right. I didn't feel small between them. Rows of chairs filled the room. On the front row, exactly where I wanted them, sat David and Lena. Lena wore a tight red dress and fake pearls. David had on a new suit. The tag string still hung from the sleeve. When Lena saw me, she gave a little wave like we were close. Mom, you look beautiful, she mouthed. I just nodded and took my seat on the stage. A big check with my name stood beside me. The reporter from the first story waited with a mic in her hand. The room buzzed with chatter, press, city people, shelter staff, a few donors. Ready? Lisa whispered. As I'll ever be, I said. The reporter stepped to the mic. Thank you all for coming, she said. Tonight we celebrate Helen, whose life changed when a winning ticket found her at St. Mary's Senior Shelter. Many of you saw our first story. An older woman dropped at a shelter on Christmas Eve, and the next day a winner of $5 million. Tonight, Helen wants to share a little more. She turned to me. Helen, I stood, my knees didn't shake. I want to start with one simple truth, I said. I did not end up at the shelter by mistake. I was put there. A low murmur moved through the room. My son and his wife drove me there on Christmas Eve, I said. They called this place professional. They said they were too busy. They dropped me at the door and drove off without looking back. David shifted. Lena's smile froze. I cried in the car, I said. I begged to be taken home. That part did not make the first news story, but it happened. Carla heard my first words when they left. The staff saw me arrive with one small suitcase and no plan. I let that sit. The next morning I won $5 million, I said, and suddenly my phone lit up. Not from old friends, from the same people who had just thrown me away. Someone in the back let out a low whistle. Since that day there have been calls, visits, and folders full of papers, I said. Power of attorney, joint accounts. Requests to move money into other people's names just on paper. I saw Mr. Patel's mouth twitch. I'm old, but I'm not stupid, I said. I learned how to use a phone recorder. I learned how to call a lawyer. I learned that "we love you" sounds very different when it's followed by "sign here before you talk to anyone else." Several heads turned toward David and Lena. My son's face was bright red now. Lena sat stiff. This is not just my story, I said. This is what happens to a lot of older people. Family members start seeing them not as people but as walking wallets. That is called elder financial abuse. And I will not be quiet about it. The room went still. So here is what I've done, I said. With Mr. Patel's help, I put my money into accounts only I can touch. I wrote a new will. My son and his wife are not in it. Not for $1, Lena gasped. David stared at me like I had slapped him. I have named St. Mary's Shelter, Carla's work, and a fund for older people like me as my main heirs, I said. I will use this money to help the people who were there when I had nothing, not the people who left me there. Whispers rippled through the room. The reporter's eyes were huge. I looked straight at David. You left me once, I said. You will not spend the rest of your life waiting for me to die so you can cash in. That door is closed. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. I turned back to the crowd. And if anyone here or watching this at home is doing to their parents what was done to me, I said quietly, this is your warning. People talk, laws change, phones record. One day it might be your face on this screen and not in a way you like. The applause started slow, then grew. Some people stood. Carla wiped her eyes. Mr. Patel gave one small nod. Down in the front row, my son and his wife sat frozen, trapped in the light they thought would only shine on my good fortune. They had just learned, in front of the whole town, that I was not their broken old burden anymore. I was the woman who had just slammed every door they were planning to sneak through. After the event, everything moved fast. The story hit the news that same night. They played my whole speech. They showed my son and his wife in the front row, stiff and pale, while I talked about being left at a shelter and pushed to sign my money away. The comments online were brutal. People called the shelter with donations. People called the TV station with their own stories. People in our old neighborhood posted, I remember how she worked double shifts for that boy. I saw her walking home from the diner at midnight. Nobody was calling my son a victim. A few days later, David finally tried to get ahead of it. He put up his own little post, saying I was confused and unwell, that the story was more complicated. He tried to make it sound like I didn't know what I was saying on stage. He forgot one thing. Mr. Patel had already talked to the reporter. The station ran a follow-up. This time they played pieces of the recordings from my phone. You could hear Lena's voice clear as day. Get her to sign before she talks to anyone else. You could hear David saying lawyers would just complicate things and that they needed to move money into our names just on paper. That sound hit harder than any speech I could give. The comments flipped from angry to disgusted. People from their church saw it. People from David's job saw it. His boss called him in. We do a lot of work with seniors, the man said. We can't have this next to our name. He lost his promotion, then he lost his job. Lena tried to spin it at school pickup. The TV edited it to make us look bad, she said. We were just trying to help. One of the other women said, I don't leave my mother-in-law at a shelter and then call it helping. Word spread, doors closed around them. Invitations dried up. Their little social circle, the one they cared about more than me, shrank fast. Meanwhile, Mr. Patel filed a report with the proper office. Possible elder financial abuse attempt, he wrote. The investigator called me, listened to my story, then visited David and Lena with a notebook in her hand and my recordings in her file. No handcuffs, just a short, cold visit. But after that, they stopped calling me completely. Some nights I sat with Carla in the shelter office and looked at the new donation list. Money was coming in from all over town. For Helen's home, they wrote. For people like her. We started planning new beds, better food, heaters that didn't bang all night. Lisa from the lottery helped me find a small apartment near the shelter, bright and clean, with big windows and a good lock. I picked my own furniture. I bought a soft chair, a new kettle, and a TV that didn't buzz. I paid St. Mary's to add a small emergency room downstairs for older women with nowhere to go. "This is nicer than the house I grew up in," I told Carla the first night. "And nobody here can throw me out without paperwork." Months passed. One afternoon, on my way back from the store, I saw my son across the street. No fancy car this time. His clothes looked tired. He stared at me like he didn't know whether to cross or run. "Mom," he called. "Can we talk?" I looked both ways. The light turned green. Cars started moving. "We already did," I said. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't speed up. I didn't look back. I just walked toward my own front door, my own keys in my own hand, and let the sound of his voice fade behind me like the closing of a chapter. For the first time in my life, my family's cruelty wasn't my problem. It was their sentence. Watch next, pick a video on screen, and hit subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Comment your name with your city. I will give you a shout out in next video.